and Eritrea. But our timeline is Gregorian. I'm just saying that just to let you appreciate our time is more like what you think about it. But it's time for Freshly Pressed this morning as we get into the newspapers from the local scene this morning, breaking all of it down for you. I've got two gentlemen in the studio. I've got Chibuzor Nwaezeapu this morning joining us.
Good morning, Omatseye. Good morning, Lagos.
And I've got Uade Ahimie also here with us this morning.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Chibuzor. Good morning, Omatseye.
My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa, as one or two of them has alluded to, but let's just get this show started with the newspaper headlines coming from the Guardian newspaper this morning. So, Chibuzor, you would start proceedings of this morning with this headline. Medical dental consultants suspend planned nationwide strike. Now, this is just because we hear there's been a planned nationwide 3 month planned strike in the works. So we want to begin to say how many of these fires of strikes can this country handle, especially it seems we can't really pacify our medical professionals. So Chibuzo, walk us into this story and what's making them have a change of mind.
So, this is just part of this is the systematic challenge for Nigeria at this point. And it's something that hasn't happened overnight, it happened over the period of time. And so we have one of the many unions, and obviously for the course of the year, we'll be hearing several of these other unions who are either going on strike or about to go on strike, or are chosen to remind the government about previous agreements with either this government or the governments before this government or the government before this government that came before this government, because typically most of the previous governments or most of the governments of Nigeria have had one attitude towards dealing with unions, which is kick the issue forward, kick it as much forward as you can. Hopefully, if you can kick it forward till at the end of 8 years or 4 years, you're fine. It becomes somebody else's monkey. So here we are, MD Khan, that's the Medical Dental Consultants of Nigeria. They issued a communique at the end of their 13th biennial delegates meeting, yesterday in Kano. And the head president of the MD Khan, that's Professor Aminu Mohammed, said based on the appeal of the current Minister of Health, the association has resolved to extend this ultimatum by 3 months. So we've managed to kick this problem forward to another 3 months. They've given the government much time, the time that the government has requested for to be able to address all the pending issues. And they've said basically at the end of 3 months, if this government doesn't address it, we'll go back to their next line of action, which is obviously maybe to resume the strikes or withdraw services or whatever they want to do. So MD Khan is speaking on. They have from the president. They have various issues which they've tabled out before the government. They've talked about the issue of brain drain. They said that at the moment that they've lost over 500 highly trained consultants who have left the country this year, obviously to various destinations, in the West, now even parts of Africa are basically picking up our consultants, and they're asking the government to give a holistic solution to that challenge. I can only think of one holistic solution, but that's enough for the other day. They're also asking that the government should include incentives to encourage retention. They're also talking about, I think, their wages. They're asking governments to invest into medical education, improve infrastructure, provide adequate remuneration and funding, upward reviews of their conmess, look at especially in view of the removal of subsidy, and implementation of modalities for addressing shortfall in remuneration. So basically, we're talking about wages, we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about training, we're talking about capacity building. These are problems that face almost every sector. It's that obviously the health sector is quite critical to our well-being. So Professor Patti or Dr. Patti has his tray is full, basically, and has to sort out these issues. And it's not just MCAN. There are other unions within the medical health sector that also have similar concerns and have gone on similar actions. So we do look out to see how it's going to be sorted out. It's good to hear, at least we've been hearing positive things from the current minister, like some of the previous ones who have told us that we had too many doctors. Some of them were even sewing clothes for them. So this is even, at least we are hoping that this is going to be more positive. So let's see how this follows through.
Why do you want to jump in on that quickly before we get into your story?
No,
or you would pass?
I'll pass for that.
Okay, so let's get to this next one. Wadi, this is your story coming from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Um, the United Arab Emirates lifts visa ban on Nigeria after President Tinubu's parley with President Al Nahyan. That's the Vanguard newspaper reporting, and there's been this face-off in terms of this ban over. It's been over a year now. There's been this back and forth issues of repatriation of cash, trapped in Nigeria, and then the sharing of the flight schedules between domestic airlines from Nigeria and that coming in from the United Arab Emirates. It seems they seem to have more of the flights than they've given to us. And do you see us having a change of all of this situation?
So first and foremost, congratulations to the president and his team. We've been back and forth with the UAE for, I guess, it's since COVID.
Yes.
But the relationship got even worse last year with the fact that they couldn't repatriate their monies and they just practically stopped flying into Nigeria. So two things for me. The list of 5 things that were highlighted, yes, progress. But until we get the full details of how it's going to work out, I'm always a bit reluctant to speak too much about how much progress we've made or we're making. You heard about the foreign exchange liquidity. I don't understand what that means. So are they going to give us a soft loan in the meantime towards managing our foreign exchange position till we are able to get back to where we used to be? In terms of the visa ban, well, it just means more foreign exchange for me. It's going to be going out again for more and more people, because usually Dubai and Abu Dhabi is one of the easiest places in terms of, and one of the major places Nigerians like to go to. At the end of the day, it was in the G20 in India, pledges of 14.1 billion. He's gone to the UAE. He stopped by the UAE on his way to the UN program next week. He's negotiated some foreign exchange liquidity that we don't have the details. We've seen a number of quick policy initiatives, but we just aren't seeing the impact completely. I know some people will say it's just a 100 days. Let's see. Let's wait for another 3 to 6 months. But the other thing for me is these policy initiatives are just being thrown out there. We don't know the details. We don't know how it's going to operate. The ones that are operating are not yielding the desired results yet. But at the end of the day, I do believe it's good news for Nigerians. But like I said at the start of my comment, I think it's just another way for more foreign exchange to go out of the country for those that are traveling, and those who are going to spend Nigerians, change your naira into whatever currency to spend it outside rather than investing those monies in Nigeria. That's the argument.
So if I get your drift correctly, it would look like we must squeeze as much gain out of this new agreement as possible, because it seems the hand that receives is always below. The hand that gives is always the one on top.
Yeah, because if you're the one that has and you have to give, then the receiver has to go without so many things just to be able to get what he or she thinks that at that particular point is what I need.
Yeah.
Maybe rather than looking at it is, this is what I want. Does it help me, or we should go ahead from a different direction?
I'd like to chip in a bit. So like what he mentioned, in this case the devil will be in the details. What has been agreed in detail, I was laughing when I saw the announcement yesterday. The presidential spokesman used the word he's likes to use of recent landmark. So it's another landmark agreement. I guess we'll probably be seeing several other landmark agreements, but it'll be good to know what the detail of this is. well, one of the major things that affected, like what he mentioned about the flights between Emirates and Nigeria was the exchange rate out. We were obviously not able to give them, they were not able to get their money from out of Nigeria. And obviously, if you look at the relationship between both parties, it should have been a mutually beneficial relationship, because obviously they were flying in Emirates. We were hoping that they would give us some, airpiece, or some of our airlines to land back there. If they were getting their money, obviously it would have been mutually beneficial. It was easier for them to call it off because, hey, they were providing those services and they were able to get their money out. So hopefully we're able to resolve that. We're also able to get a lot of other agreements that are mutually beneficial, and we're also able to put the Nigerian brand and Nigerian country in such a place that we will not be held to ransom by any other country.
All right, thank you very much. So it's still freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1 FM. We just will pick up some more local headlines, but let's bring the listener up to speed at this moment to let them know they can be part of the conversation. Any of the headlines we're picking up from the local dailies this morning. So already I see Chioma already. Chioma earlier on had sent a message at about 11 minutes past 7 asking already, where are the headlines? I hope you've seen the headlines now. So and just go through them and let's get your contributions just like every person else. But on to 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. WhatsApp messages responding to the headlines we're picking up from the local headlines this morning. That said, let's get on to this next story coming in here. And I go to Chibuzor Nwaezeapu for this story. Subsidy removal. Zulum, that's the governor of Borno State, unveils 70 buses for metro transport, civil servants. That's according to the Vanguard newspaper. Some days ago, it was in the news for houses being built for IDPs. And here we are. This man seemed to be picking up from where his predecessor left off. What do you say about this?
Okay, Governor Zulum is unveiling new buses bought with state funds for use by the state's people. That's the essence of this story. I'm not a fan of fanfare. I'm not a fan of fanfare. Sorry, when it comes to some of these things, because I always like to remind Nigerians and citizens at the end of the day that the funds that are being used by public officials are your funds. You have a right to demand service, and you also have a right to provide whatever role and play whatever role you need to play as a citizen. So provide, also protect those services.
Yes.
So, but yeah, let's look at the Nigerian reality today. So the government has this is part of the subsidy removal palliatives, and he's basically they procured 70 new buses, which they've handed over to I think the Borno Express service to provide transport to civil servants and other citizens of the state to and fro their workplaces.
Chibuzor, I'd like you to stay with the Borno Express. That's who would handle these buses for now. When we come back, we are at the red light for traffic right now, but it is still freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1 FM. Stay tuned.
98.1.
This is the Smooth Breakfast Show. Are you looking for a reliable way to grow your money? Let me tell you about ARM. ARM is one of the largest non-bank financial institutions with over 29 years of expertise in money management and wealth creation. That's almost 3 decades. ARM is all about ensuring your financial goals are met with ease, no matter who you are. Now, whether it's growing your money,
Since you will not be the one talking, you can. You want to go to the loop?
personal development, vacation, rent, buying a property, or preparing for the future, ARM has got you covered. We all know there are a lot of apps out there promising to grow your money, but ARM has everything you need to go from where you are to where you need to be. Start your wealth creation journey today by downloading the ARM One app from the Google Play Store or iOS Store. There are great options for everyone. You even start with as low as 1,000 Naira, just 1,000 Naira. For more information, visit arm.com.ng or call 01-271-5002. That's 01-271-5002. ARM, let's face tomorrow together.
You're listening to
The Smooth Breakfast.
And we're back. It's still freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1 FM. 13 minutes before it's 8 o'clock. And Chibuzor Nwaezeapu was speaking on the buses to be unveiled by the Borno State Governor.
So the governor has unveiled the buses. He's given them 17 new buses. 30 of the buses are dedicated to civil servants to convey them to and fro their workplaces in the course of the week. He's also told the management of Borno Express, I think that's the Borno State Transport Company, and who will be managing these buses, that they should know that this is not a totally for-profit enterprise. This is a social service, so the prices should reflect accordingly, and obviously it's one of the things to ease the impact of fuel subsidy. So the state will, in essence, the state will be subsidizing the cost of the buses. So well, I'm not so much of a fan of subsidy, but in instances like this, this is one of the interventions government would have to do to ease the burden on citizens. So it's the reality of the time. Yeah, we also talked about, I think the Borno Express also unveiled some new structures, for travelers, where they could stay, where they could eat, where they could rest. And the government also appreciated them for doing that, and also easing the cost of the terms of service to their staff and retired employees. So yeah, so this government has taken a step. Let's see what other steps are we taking and what other governments will do.
Okay, for me, this is what stands out here is the details. Like you would say, the devil. Earlier on, you said the details.
The devil's in the details.
The devil. I know the devil is in the detail. Let's see. Yeah, they talk about how, you see, at 7 o'clock, the pickup time for civil servants will be at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pickup and return journey back home for civil servants will be at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mondays to Friday. So in itself, you can see that there is no, if you're going by these buses, the government this is also creating room for productivity.
It depends on how you define productivity. I don't know what
you'll be at work, but you won't be late. There will be no excuse.
I don't know what the working hours are in Borno State, but if you are picking me up between 7 and 9 a.m., I'll probably get into the office. I picked up at 9 a.m. I'm getting to at 9:30. If I'm going at 3 o'clock to 5 p.m., I don't know what is what. So obviously, like, devil's in the details. Okay. Maybe some guys are started at 9. Some guys resume at 9 a.m. or maybe 10 o'clock and close at 5. And some resume at maybe 8 o'clock and close at 3. We really don't know.
Chibuzor, and as we let that paper, we'll put it to rest. As the question there is, this is palliative beyond 10 kg of rice, a measure of probably gari and beans as it is. This is moving beyond, like what Labour has been talking about. Give us transportation so we can see this from Borno, setting the pace.
So it's one of the things that what they have to do. They are doing what they have to do. Yeah. Like me, long term, thankfully it's been handed over to their transport company, and I expect that they have some experience with maintenance and keeping those buses in line and making sure that drivers aren't, the type that will return the buses in broken shape, and the government has no money to replace the buses, because obviously the entire program is being subsidized.
All right, this takes us to some of the messages waiting for our attention at this moment. I see more pouring in. Keep the messages coming down to 0809 444 0981. Who's here? Chama comes up with this one saying, did the Senate, the president carry the CBN along with in the resuscitation of the agreement cause repatriation of airlines, yes, funds that is trapped in Nigeria? That's a message I'm reading, just saying that is a problem still. I wonder how the government won't fix the issues hampering existing business, and is there telling us that of renewed hope. I mentioned a brand after decades is shutting down in Nigeria, which should be a serious emergency, but government want us to clap for the constant disgrace they bring us. By the way, hopefully it got the list of those UAE said sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria, and they told him UAE can't be doing our job as they are continuously building their city. Now so them go they give us sound bites here and there, make we they clap. That's Chioma dropping a message for us. Dami from Ikeja pops in with this one. Does the agreement also protect Air Peace landing rights in Dubai? As always, The devil is in the details, just echoing Chibuzor's details. Benag Aigboje from Lagos says comprehensive health reform is what the country needs. Technology and personnel emolument are required in this country when we decide to be serious. Meanwhile, the policymakers in the executive and legislature are quick to jump on the plane to embark on medical tourism for even minor ailments while leaving the health sector in a comatose state. Yet we complain of scarcity of forex. That's Igboje from Lagos leaving that one for us. I've got this one in from JP. It says, one positive is the president solving the impasse. The major thing I want to see is our local airline can land in Dubai also, and details of the currency exchange. One thing to see is how much investment comes into Nigeria from this, and that's from JP. Abbas Oladepo goes on to say, when we make gains, we should try as much as possible not to water them down for doubters. Yes, our gains should also be given the same traction and energy we give our losses. The Dubai government is a good balm for all of us, irrespective of our political leanings. We hope our people will start behaving well in other people's country. Next one, Tunji Oladimeji says, Professor Zolum has been a performer amongst the crop of governors. This is also his second term. 2 months ago, he also provided buses for farmers alone to ensure they continue to provide food within the ambit of what the security situation will allow. Check also his record before now. He has people-oriented policies. Good thing with him, yes, he's using the state fund. At least he's not stealing it. That's according to Tunji. So that brings me, I'll get back to more messages, but let's get on to Uade as we picked up this paper here. It says, the UK warship lands Nigeria, bets Nigeria to support fight against illegal maritime activities. That's coming from the Guardian newspaper. Uade, talk us through this story.
So the UK Royal Navy warship HMS Strength came into Lagos on Sunday. It's meant to help support the fight crimes on the sea. It would also deliver trainings and it gives an opportunity to the Nigerian Navy to get some additional training and new training on different ways to combat sea crimes and a number of things. So I guess at the end of the day, for me, this is another partnership that we're trying to renew. Good for Nigeria. It provides us some level of new techniques to fight crimes on the high seas. We know the number of oil thefts that has been going on. The government has been pushing in that direction to make sure that it stops it, which has helped increase oil production from about 1 million to about 1.6 million in the last 1 month. So at least kudos again to the partnership, and I hope it brings more and more.
So beyond this, what does it speak about the territorial integrity of the country and sovereignty if you have a foreign vessel berthing to do this for you? Because I remember there was a time one was around and had to quickly leave when issues were raised about what it is doing on our shores.
Well, for this to be here, you can see that the Deputy High Commissioner is aware. So maybe the last one that came in, there were no agreements properly put in place. But this is a partnership between the UK and the Nigerian government. So I guess he'll be here for a while. At least he's going to train our personnel. He's going to provide additional cover along with the ships that we currently have. So that for me is a good start.
All right, Chibuzor, let's work on this next story quickly as we get to this one, as we're getting to the home stretch of the story. The IG sets up gun license, and that's the Inspector General sets up a gun licensing regulation committee. That's according to the Punch newspaper. What are we going to do about this in terms of the rise of small arms around the country? Do you see this curtailing the rise of small arms and crime in the country?
So the first public relations officer, that's Olumiwa ACP Olumiwa Dejobi, basically revealed this yesterday that the IG, the IG of police has set up another committee that is supposed to review carry the comprehensive review of of firearms licensing and regulation by the police force. Um, Obviously, they're supposed to look at how how do we want to issue out whatever arms or ammunition I want to issue out. If individuals want to get it, whichever organizations want to get it, basically build a procedure, also assess how the current processes and regulations around this entire pro, uh, assess the current regulations and procedures around this entire space.
Yes.
Also increase transparency, effectiveness, accountability, which is one thing. So yes, there's the other thing you pointed out is that over the years we've had the challenge about small arms, especially small arms and other types of ammunition that have been seen freely across the length and breadth of Nigeria. A lot of us who live in different places of Nigeria have had either heard about or had experiences where we heard about people who are carrying around small arms and which we know for certain would not be licensed. And even in instances we have seen particular henchmen from different parts of the certain parts of the country going about with his guards and his arms freely, showing them more freely. And the question has always been, how did these people get these arms? How did they receive them? And all that. But at the end of the day, what this would solve is those who are requesting or looking to get arms legally. It doesn't cater for the guys, because I can say that a lot of the people who have these weapons who are seen and who are worried about have gotten their arms illegally. So that's a different kettle of fish entirely. How do we stop the flow of small arms into Nigeria, which is largely a police, a customs, and army issue? So having a process that is clear for everybody who wants to get it legally and how they go about it is fantastic. So,
okay. Yeah. That takes me to Uade. Please close us up with this story that's coming from Ondo State, and we hear having to it puts to rest the speculation about the health of the governor Keredolu, who's been away for over 2 months on health reasons. Signing into law, that's according to the Daily Post. Keredolu signs bill creating 33 LCDAs into law in about a minute.
So quickly, I do think that this is one of the best ways for you to get rural development to the people faster by having more community development development authorities or areas, so that you can be sure that within a small space what is being channeled there is being done well. But typical of everything, every policy, some people are already kicking back, or some are saying that some of their communities are marginalized, some are saying that this creation, some people will take the assets that belong to a particular community. The day we stop to look at those things and see the opportunities from building new infrastructure within those communities, just helps you realize that this is one of the best ways to go about community development.
Well, before we go and get a few messages in, looking at Lagos has gone the route of the LCD8. Also, Lagos got 20 local government areas, but about 39 LCDs. Now, Ondo State has got 18 local government. With the creation of this, it takes them to about 51 if you put it all together. But as one, if you are to allay their fears, using Lagos as an example, would you say they should stay calm? It would create development for them.
I do think so. For me, I do think those community development areas help you create those things. Allaying the fears of those in Lagos. The biggest problem for me, or the biggest challenge, has always been the non-autonomy of local governments. Once you have that, even the local governments can create those things so that they can know exactly what they're doing.
And that's a wrap on the papers this morning. We see a message from Chibuzor with a message on subsidy removal. It is not thought through. Governor Zalun's bosses notwithstanding subsidy was just a way further to impoverish the people. And then I see Inka Bolu saying he agrees with all that Abbas has said. Going forward as a country, we should also do our part in vetting those traveling to Dubai. And then I see Zen comes up with a message on ships. Never trust the UK. They are also in for themselves. Now, strategically, we are having them embedded in our security and they often will play both sides. Austin pops in with a message. The vehicles were bought with public money, so it should not brag. I see Dami here. Did Boko Haram, IPOB, and bandits apply for licenses for the arms they carry? The sentiments of Chibuzor exactly once again. What about those who are not accounted for in the process? How do we mop up all of those in also? Maybe it's a window for them to go make it legal then, from what we're seeing here. And then on the HMS Trent, we'll be in Lagos for about a week. Yes, it is to support and train our Navy. Federal government is aware, and there was a big reception on the ship yesterday evening. That's Wale saying that's what it is. I see a bus also here saying this one, Governor Zalum has a good PR and more than so many states. Thank you for everyone who's been part of it. Chibuzor Nwaezeapu, thank you so much. Uade, Ahimie, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
It's a wrap on Freshly Pressed Smooth 98.1 FM. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, sir.